Hello, my name is Riley Hall, and I am a soon-to-be second-year master's student in the Department of Agricultural Leadership, Education, and Communications at Texas A&M University. As an advocate for agriculture, third-generation beef producer, and student in ALEC 640, Methods of Technological Change, I am sharing this reusable learning objective presentation with you today on the use of hormone implants in beef cattle in relation to Rogers' diffusions of innovation theory. The learning objective for this RLO is as follows. After viewing this RLO, learners will be able to understand beef cattle hormone implantation as it relates to different aspects of Rogers' diffusion of innovations theory, and then use that understanding to answer reflection questions. We are going to start with some background information about hormone implantation. Hormone implants are a slow-release growth hormone pellet that is inserted into the ear of beef steers and heifers to increase weight and muscle gain and improve overall feed efficiency, which then improves profit for the producer. Implants use natural hormones that are already found in the animal's body. They are simply elevated to increase gain, resulting in better beef and an increase in profit for producers. For example, if you are implanting heifers, Ralgro, Synovex H, and Revlar G are what is most commonly used because it keeps them safe for breeding. If you're implanting steers, there are even more options, such as Revlar H, CompuDice, and Encore. While there are many types of implants available, the difference in these implants is the naturally occurring hormones that are in them, like estradiol, progesterone, and testosterone. There are also two synthetic hormones that are often used, zeranol and trenbolone acetate. Zeranol mimics estradiol, and trenbolone acetate mimics testosterone. All hormone implants are approved by the Food and Drug Administration and have a 0-day withdrawal period, meaning that they are safe for consumption no matter when the animal is slaughtered. Now we will discuss the producer-consumer relationship surrounding hormone implants. Implementation of hormones has decreased considerably in the last 10 years due to negative public perceptions. People want hormone-free beef, but ironically, there's no such thing. In fact, even hormone-implanted beef have much lower hormone levels than many plants. According to the University of Georgia Extension Services, other foods have much higher levels of estrogenic activity as well. For example, eggs have 15,890 anagrams of estrogenic activity per pound of food, compared to 10 in implanted beef cattle and 7 in non-implanted beef cattle. Even though hormone implants have the ability to increase producer profit from the increased weight gain it gives the cattle, the public perception of implant use prohibits producers from making that extra money. Hormone implant innovators are continuously innovating to make their products better for cattle men and women, despite the negative impacts received from many consumers. Once these new variations are innovated, they are tested and results are shared with producers. This is a form of observability, which we will talk more about in the coming slides. For now, here's a clip from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association that discusses hormone implants in detail with experts from animal health teams in the industry like Zoetis and Merck. So I am going to stop sharing my screen for a brief second, and I will reshare it on our video that I'm going to share with you.
Striving for continuous improvement is one of the keys to success in the cattle business. Those producers looking to maximize profits are always searching for new techniques and technologies that can make cattle grow faster with fewer inputs. Growth implants have a long history of use within the cattle industry, but Brian Baxter reports there are some new options for producers to consider.
No matter what part of the country they're located in, one of the common goals for all stocker producers is to efficiently add gain to their cattle throughout the entire grazing season. And one of the key ways to get the most pounds of gain from their available forage is by using a growth implant.
Implants are important to beef producers just from a sheer production standpoint. Ultimately, producers are selling pounds of beef, whether they're selling a weaned calf or whether they're selling a stocker calf directly to a feedlot. They get paid on pounds. And so implants date back to the 1950s, and they've definitely evolved over time and new products available. But ultimately, an implant tells the muscle cell grow larger. And when the muscles grow larger on these animals, they're able to sell more total pounds, which adds up to more dollars in their pockets.
As a nutritionist for Zoetis, Dr. Brian Bernhard spends a lot of time looking at calves and talking with cattle producers. His aim is to help producers make the best use of production tools like growth implants.
Well, you just think about the competitive landscape of agriculture in general, and specifically, the cattle business. It's ultra competitive, operating on very small margins. So anything we can do to, help find a dollar here or a dollar there ultimately helps their profitability and helps their sustainability in the business. So Zoetis is a company that is continually trying to innovate, come up with new technologies, come up with new products to improve animal health, to improve production of animals. And so one of those newer technologies is an implant technology that's called Synovex One Grass. And really the uniqueness of this product versus other implants that are available on the market is that it's a long-acting implant. And so it has a label to last up to 200 days.
Dr. Bernhard says the longer duration is a result of the unique way the Synovex One Grass implant is designed.
So the unique part about Synovex One Grass is this patented coating technology that it has around it. So imagine you have a traditional implant pellet, and it's coated with a physical barrier. I like to explain it. It's like you wrap the implant pellet with a thin sponge. Sponges are porous in nature. So when you put this implant into the animal's ear, it's a higher dose product, but when you put it in there on day one, it actually gets a controlled release. So instead of getting an immediate release of a high dose of hormone and then a reduction over time, you actually get more of a consistent release over that 200-day period.
To continue building knowledge about the longer duration growth implants, Zoetis conducted a trial to see how these growth implants performed with stocker cattle in a grazing situation.
Recently, Zoetis conducted a new trial with Synovex One Grass just to try to better understand how it can be used for producers. And so we did a study in Central California on the western coast with 518 steers. So in this study, we did have 3 treatments. So treatment number 1 would have been what we called our control, a non-implanted group. So they did not receive an implant. Treatment number 2, they would have been implanted with Revlar G, which is traditionally considered a more conventional or shorter duration implant. And then treatment number 3 would have been implanted with Synovex One Grass, which is the longer duration implant that we've been discussing today. After the cattle had grazed for 192 days, the results were quite impressive. Ultimately, implanting really pays. And so both of the treatments that received an implant had an average of over 50-pound weight advantage versus the cattle that did not receive an implant. So the value is really there for producers that are grazing cattle to utilize implants because that technology really has a large return on investment. When you look specifically to the 2 treatments that received either Revlar G or Synovex One Grass, the cattle that were implanted with Synovex One Grass had an average of an 11-pound weight advantage.
In fact, Dr. Bernhard says multiple studies over the past few years have demonstrated the value of growth implants.
It's part of our continuing investment in research with this product. Actually, in 2016, we conducted a study in Oklahoma which we compared Synovex One Grass to Encore and Revlar G. And in that study, we actually had an average of a 20-pound weight advantage with Synovex One Grass versus the other treatments.
Dr. Bernhard says the research is clear. If a producer may end up stretching out the number of days their cattle are grazing and growing, then a long-duration implant provides a real advantage.
the length and time in which you're going to own the cattle definitely plays into what type of implant product you want to use. And I like to think about it more of days of ownership, not just days of grazing. Synovex One grass has been a great fit for stockers and backgrounders. Really, any producer that utilizes forage as part of their management system and owns the cattle for 140 or more days should consider this as an option. I work with many customers that gather cattle in the fall of the year, say September, October. They're putting groups together that will ultimately be turned out on some type of winter forage, say in December. So this has been a great product for them that as they're gathering cattle, they can process them, they can use Synovex One grass as their implant, yet they get duration all the way through March if they come off winter forage early, or even some that go through graze out into May, they're still covered. And so I like to think about days of ownership. How long are you going to have those cattle? Whether it's when they're weighing or shipping cattle, they see the added pounds that it's putting on their cattle, and ultimately that adds more dollars into their pocket.
And more dollars in the pocket is always welcome. In West Texas, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Okay. Now I will share my screen back to our presentation. So now that we have watched that video clip and gotten to see some more detail about hormone implants and how they are actually implemented in the field, we're going to discuss aspects of Rogers' diffusion of innovations theory in comparison with the hormone implants. So hormone implants are an innovation in themselves. Rogers defines an innovation as an idea, practice, or object that is perceived new by an individual or other unit of adoption. So in this case, hormone implants are a practice that is also an innovation. Observability allows producers to see results of the innovation, which we will talk about again in the next slide. And another aspect of Rogers' diffusion of innovations theory are change agents and opinion leaders. Both of these are vital and much needed to combat the public perception. So observability. As an attribute of an innovation, observability is defined by Rogers as the degree to which the results of an innovation are visible to others. And it is positively related to an innovation's rate of adoption, meaning that if it has observable results, it is likely to be adopted at a faster and more frequent rate. So the image to the right, which was taken from a 2022 study conducted by Oklahoma State University's Extension Services, you will see the average daily gain of implanted cattle compared to that of non-implanted cattle. And you can see that there is a significant difference in that rate of gain for cattle that are implanted. It's results from studies like these that provide potential adopters or other beef producers with that observability that will cause them to adopt the innovation. Change agents are also vital, and a change agent is an individual who influences clients' innovation decisions in a direction deemed desirable by a change agency. That is the definition straight from the Rogers Diffusions of Innovations textbook. But to kind of paraphrase, a change agent is basically a link from a resource system to a social system that has expertise and a client system to communicate with. So in the case of agricultural production, extension agents can serve as those change agents. Many of them have multiple degrees in the field in which they work with, making them experts, and they can take that information that they have learned and experienced from their job and their education and relay that to beef producers. So in the case of hormone implantation, they can take what they know scientifically and what they have seen from the field and relay that to other producers in hopes that they will adopt. Another vital part from Rogers' diffusion of innovations theory is opinion leaders. Opinion leadership is defined as the degree to which an individual is able to influence other individuals' attitudes or overt behaviors in a desired way with relatively high frequency. So opinion leaders serve as an aid to change agents. Beef producers who use hormone implantation and see success can advocate for its use. So for better understanding, a change agent, which would be an extension agent, would advocate to beef producers, and beef producers who adopt from those change agents become opinion leaders and advocate to other potential adopters or other beef producers in the industry. So now that we've learned a little bit about hormone implantation and how it relates to different aspects of Rogers Diffusions of Innovations theory, here are a few reflection questions to think on. Number one, in what ways do beef cattle hormones help build better beef? So as we talked about, hormones insert naturally occurring hormones that are already found in the animal's body. They just insert them at a slightly elevated rate, and this allows for greater feed efficiency, which in turn is going to improve daily rate of gain, which in turn is going to improve beef quality with more fat and more marbling in them. And as a result of all of that, beef producers are going to get more bang for their buck at the slaughterhouse when these animals are sold and harvested for consumption. Number two, in what ways does public perception of hormone implantation affect its use? So many beef consumers are searching for hormone-free beef. And as we learned, that just isn't a thing because all animals have naturally occurring hormones in their body, whether they are implanted or not. But since the public is in search of this hormone-free beef that doesn't exist, it is decreasing the use of hormone implantation, when really all of that implantation does is improve the quality of the beef that people are consuming and allow beef producers to make a more profitable living. Number three, how does beef cattle hormone implantation relate to Rogers Diffusions of Innovations theory? So as we talked about, implantation is an innovation in its own because an innovation can be an idea, a practice, or an object. And then we also have change agents and opinion leaders who are a part of Rogers Diffusion of Innovations theory and a vital part of hormone implantation in the way that the messages are perceived to the public or to consumers. So who can help improve public perception of hormone use and potentially increase the use of the innovation? So again, that is going to be our change agents who, in the context of agriculture, are likely going to be extension agents. And that is also going to be our opinion leaders who, in the context of this subject, are going to be those beef producers who have adopted hormone implantation, who have seen results, and who advocate for it to other beef producers. Thank you for tuning in to my presentation today. I hope you learned something in the context of hormone implantation and Rogers Diffusion of Innovations theory. And here are the references that I've used today. Feel free to follow the links to read more in detailed information. Thank you.